Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Pyramaze, Epitaph, out November 13th on AFM Records. The album has 12 tracks, 62 minutes in length, and this is the band's 6th full-length studio album. The album starts off with the shortest track, an instrumental track called Epitaph, and finishes off with a 12-plus minute song, which is the longest song on the record, called The Time Traveler, which features two of the band's former vocalists, Matt Barlow and Lance King. This song is absolutely magnificent. Best track on the record. Over the top, powerful, a little bit of prog, very dynamic, very fluid, very cinematic. What a way to close off this record. So from a structural perspective, I like how the album starts, I like how the album finishes. What comes in between is where I'm not so sure. They did a good job, or at least they tried to do the best they could to alternate tracks to give you a sense of changing directions ever so slightly from song to song in order for the listener to stay engaged with this record. To me, I didn't get that feel from it. I understand that was perhaps the idea behind it, but the result was more of a stop and go kind of record. You get a song that's more bombastic, that has a lot of power, that has a lot of force, and then the next one that comes after that kind of deflates the balloon. It's a little bit more melodic, a little bit more mellow, more of a ballad. Then the next track after that, you feel engaged again, it's powerful again, it starts to shoot up, it starts to push the album forward. Then the track after that takes the air once again out of the balloon, a more melodic song, a ballad style track that deflates a little bit of your expectations, and you feel like it goes like that almost throughout the whole record. So it's hard for you to get a feel for the album. It's hard for you to find a comfortable spot when you're listening to this record that allows you to stay engaged with the first song and keep yourself engaged with the album as you go all the way through to the last track. The duration of the record doesn't help either. You're looking at 62 minutes, 12 tracks. It's a long record. And when you have that stop and go feel from the album structure and how the track list is put together, that hurts the overall playability of the album. If the album was 10 tracks and perhaps 42 minutes, you can do that a little bit better because you don't have that extended length. So you have a more compact record, it's easier to digest for the listener, it's easier for the listener to stay connected with the album and not lose track of where you are in the listening experience. With this record, I felt a little bit lost at times. I felt that the energy was a little bit out of it, and it was hard for me to keep getting re-engaged with the album once I felt a little bit out of it with some of the songs. Now, as far as the soundscape is concerned, there's nothing to point the finger there. The album has an incredible balanced soundscape all the way through. Pretty much the quality that you get in the first song is the quality that you're going to get all the way throughout the record. This is not an album that has one element that pushes the sound forward. This is not a guitar-driven album. It's not a keyboard-driven album. If anything, it's a vocally driven record. But from a sound perspective, I like the balance that it has. It doesn't have one element pushing above all others. It has all of them working in unison to create a very cohesive soundscape across all songs, where all the elements have a role to play. They play that role to their fullest, equally amounts, and they allow themselves to come together to create really strong sounding tracks where there's no weaknesses at all. I actually really enjoy what they did as far as orchestrations and keyboards are concerned, because on an album like this, perhaps there would be the tendency to push the keyboards a little bit too much, allow them to have too much of a center stage, and then the sound would become a lot driven, or at least dominated, by the overall keyboard sound and where those keyboards are going. That's not the case here. They use them throughout the record, but they use them in a different way. They use them more as atmosphere, as melody, as a layer to the overall soundscape that the record has to offer. So while they're present and you can feel them on every single song, you never really feel like they're dictating the pace, dictating the mood, the atmosphere, or the overall soundscape that the record has to offer. So I like that sound balanced approach that this album has. It allows it to be very cohesive across all the songs and really work together in order to unify the overall listening experience. Now, the vocals are definitely the beacon of this record. I said it earlier, if there's one driving force behind this album, is the vocals. Powerful vocals, great range, great tone. Some songs you really get the most out of them because you really feel their strength, their power, their presence, because musically the track is perhaps a little bit more stripped down, so allows the vocals to come a little bit more into the forefront and have more of a predominant role. But even in the songs where the sound itself spreads out and it becomes larger, the vocals still have this dominant power, this dominant presence that allow you to really gravitate towards them. grab onto them and never let go throughout the rest of that song. So I really like how the vocals were put together for this album. They're definitely the beacon, very balanced. What you get in the first song as far as the quality is concerned, not necessarily the approach, because the approach changes ever so slightly from track to track depending what the song calls for, what's the mood, the lyrical content. But as far as quality is concerned, this album gives you a soundscape that's very consistent from the first song all the way to the last song, and I love that. What a beacon the vocals were on this record. Definitely the highlight of the album. Overall, I enjoy the record. The record has its moments, but the playability of the album is not the greatest. The individual tracks are great. They're really well constructed, well delivered musically and vocally, but when you put them together, this album doesn't have the right fluidity. It doesn't really engage the listener and keeps the listener coming back for more. It feels like it's a little bit stretched. It's a little bit drawn out, and there's too many pauses in it that really take the energy out of the record. It take all the speed and momentum that the album is building up until that point, and then it's very hard to get back into that same feel, to get back into that same pocket after you go through that bump, through that dry period that the album has to offer. And there's plenty of those as you progress through this album. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Knights in Shining Armour. I really like this track. It has that power metal vibe to it, not just in how the song is put together musically, but also vocally. It has a great keyboard melody all the way throughout, sometimes a little bit more in the forefront, sometimes dropping it a little bit more as a layer. The drums and guitars give the song the power that it needs. They give the song the heaviness that it requires. They're really working together as one in order to fortify the overall sound experience that this song has to offer. The chorus has a blast of sound and melody. The song is at one level in the verses, and then it skyrockets in the chorus. The chorus becomes really the heartbeat of this track, really pumping energy into the song. The lyrics and how the vocals manage those lyrics in the chorus allows the song to be very hooky and very catchy, really pushing the song forward, making it a lot more memorable, playing very well with the overall construction of the track. The verses a little bit more contained, the chorus a little bit more intense, a little bit more robust, a little bit more over the top, making the song very dynamic. Next, Bird of Prayer, one of the softer tracks on this album, but one of my favorites. I like the mood, and I like how the vocals really jump into the forefront and dictate the atmosphere, dictate the presence that this song has to offer. They have such beautifully delivered tone that just really comes across. It brings the lyrics to life, and it just really gives life and presence to how this song comes across to the listener. The vocals are definitely pushing this song to the next level. The track has a very consistent approach. Musically, the track holds some weight, but not too much. It's not a heavy song. It's a ballad, so it's not going to be very heavy, but there is a little bit of a heavy undertone to it. So it's not a complete stripped out song. There is some meat on the bones, just not too much to not take away from the presence that the vocals have. You want the vocals to dominate this song. You want the vocals to shine from the beginning to the end, to really be the beacon, the driving force behind the track, and it stays that way. So musically, the track, while having a little bit of a bite, it's not too much. It works perfectly for the construction of the song. It works perfectly for the melody and for the output that you want out of a track like this. Last but not least, Transcendence, featuring Brittany Slays from Unleash the Archers, one of my favorite songs on the album, the second favorite song on the album outside of The Time Traveler. This song is magnificent. It's a duet. It's built, it's constructed, and it's delivered as a duet. I love the fact that they alternate vocals in the perfect way possible. First, male vocals in the verses, male vocals in the chorus. Then Brittany comes in, female vocals in the verses, female vocals in the chorus, and then you bring them both together for the closing chorus in order to give the song this bombastic sound. But Brittany absolutely slays this track. Her voice pushes this song to a different level. It gives this song the energy that it lacked. It really gives momentum and makes the song explode and makes the song feel bigger. So her presence on this track definitely elevates the quality of the song itself. It becomes a completely different track. Her energy, her delivery, her tone, her range expands the boundaries of where this song can go and makes this song one of the most memorable tracks on this record. This is it. Pyramaze with Epitaph, once again out November 13th on AFM Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.